Hello, everyone. My name is Rebecca Cummings, and I'm here today to talk with you about the transition to college. I have been working with new college students through the first year seminar program at Appalachian State since 2010 and through the Scholars with Diverse Abilities program since 2016. This video is being made for the parents of our incoming first year SDAP students. Your students will be taking College and Beyond and Career and Practical Living classes with me each semester they are here at college. Much of these classes focuses on transitioning from high school into adult life. Your students will also be taking a first-year seminar course with me their first semester. This course, called Beyond Normal, focuses on increasing disability awareness, understanding, and advocacy. This presentation comes from my own experiences working with first-year students, both in SDAP and not in SDAP, and from a presentation focused on the transition to college for students with autism by Laura Klinger. So let's get started. All students transitioning to college face transition challenges. College is a new environment, and there are new ways of doing things. Frequently, students arrive at college having developed a certain set of assumptions about what college is and what they expect college to be like. Students may think that a college class is all about listening to a lecture, taking notes, and taking fairly easy tests. Students with this mindset might be frustrated in classes that require a lot of active participation, written papers, self-reflection, presentations, and class discussion over readings or videos the students watched as homework. I'm telling you this because most of your students will have these kind of classes. So if your student complains about their courses, you might want to ask them what they anticipated college classes would be like. Students also make assumptions about what life on campus is going to be like. So again, conversations about the differences between their assumptions and the reality they are experiencing could be useful. One common transition challenge is living with a roommate and sharing space. Students have assumptions about how easy and fun it will be to have a roommate, but the reality is that sharing space requires negotiation and problem solving, and there are a lot of life skills that are developed when students live in the dorm setting. Both housing and SDAP will help your student navigate the residential life experience. Please remember that you are your student's sounding board, and you may not get the whole picture of what's happening based on what your student tells you about the situation they're experiencing. Help them become self-advocates by encouraging them to ask their residential advisor, also known as an RA, or someone in SDAP for support. New college students also often think that they can use the very same strategies they used in high school and be successful at college. By their second semester, most students report that they have finally learned that they need new skills in college. They have to manage their own time in order to get their schoolwork done. They have to actually study for tests, and they have to spend time outside of class completing homework and readings. Many of my traditional four-year degree-seeking students report that their high school experience did not prepare them for college course expectations. Please know that we in SDAP understand students may not be prepared to be as successful at college as they think they will be. We will hold high but achievable expectations of your students, and we encourage you to help your student develop self-advocacy skills when they complain to you about how hard their schoolwork is. You can do this by asking your student who they could speak with in order to get help with their homework or whatever challenges they're having with school. Some students develop social strategies that work well in high school, but they will also have to adjust and revise these strategies for the college environment. It is possible for them to talk with their graduate advisor or a peer support to get new ideas that work in the college environment. One of the things I have observed with students with disabilities is that some students really try to pass for normal and hide their differences rather than acknowledging their need or asking for clarification if someone uses words they do not understand. Students who just want to blend in will often choose not to use accommodations and may resist using SDAP modifications such as an in-class peer support or social time support or modifications of assignments that SDAP provides for them. If we notice your student trying to do this, we will work to help them realize how this choice to hide their disability is negatively impacting their college experience. Sometimes students aren't really hiding their disability as much as just simply not understanding what their disability means for them. Some of our SDAP students have never really explored what exactly their disability is and what strategies they have previously used to cope with the challenges they face, or what supports others have provided and still need to provide to make their life manageable. Some SDAP students spend part of their first year in college gaining greater understanding of their disability and the accommodations or modifications they need from others, along with the ones they can provide for themselves. Activities and assignments in both Beyond Normal and College and Beyond allow students time to reflect on these needs. Now, let's talk about what students need in order to be academically successful in college. Students will need to learn to daily check and manage their email and course sites. We ask that SDAP students check their email, their App State email specifically, at least twice a week this summer, and every day once school starts. It could be helpful for you to help them determine which emails they need to reply to, which emails are junk mail and just simply need to be deleted, and which ones provide important information to follow up on, but don't require an actual reply. Another skill students need to develop is having and following backup plans. One of the most common examples is when students wake up 15 minutes before class starts. What should they do? Some students just simply don't go to class. Some students have anticipated this possibility, so their backpack is packed the night before and they throw on some clothes, a hat, and they grab their backpack and make it to class on time or maybe just a minute late. Another challenge that students might face is computer failure. Usually this happens when students have not plugged their computer in and they simply are out of battery life. One solution to this is that the students could have two chargers, one for their dorm room and one that stays in their backpack until needed. Another common challenge for new college students is knowing how to prioritize assignments based on their due dates, the impact on their course grades, the professor's late assignment policies, etc. This is a skill that we work with students on during their time with us in case they decide they want to pursue further post-secondary education after SDAP. Prioritization of course assignments is something that the tutors or academic supports help students to do. For larger assignments, reverse planning is a very useful tool. This simply means that you break down larger assignments or studying for tests into smaller tasks with specific due dates so that the entire assignment becomes easier to complete and you're not doing it at the very last minute and not getting enough sleep. Again, this is something that our academic supports and tutors help students to do. However, sometimes students may still end up working on an assignment at the last minute. Just know this is a common experience for first-year students at Appalachian. In fact, based on my observations, there seems to be a certain rite of passage in college, and staying up late to do schoolwork or studying for a test is almost seen like a badge of honor by many students. So if your student kind of brags to you about staying up late to complete an assignment, it is part of that perception of what it means to be in college. Self-management is another important skill that students need to develop. We are mostly encouraging students to use Google Calendar to keep up with their schedule. Occasionally, a student might prefer a paper and pencil planner or keeping notes on their smartphone. Sometimes students will use the Google Calendar to help keep track of appointments or classes or work, and then will use a different method for keeping track of assignments that they need to complete. Asking for help or self-advocating is a huge part of the college experience. Students will need to clarify assignment expectations and how to do the assignment. Students will need to get help from STAP staff, from their tutors and academic supports. They may need to get other assistance from the University Writing Center, a librarian, a resident assistant, someone in food services, an employer or internship supervisor, or even their roommate. Knowing when to ask for help means that a student has to have some understanding of what their needs are, and they have to initiate a social interaction using appropriate social skills. You will be our partner in helping students become more and more confident and capable in self-advocating. Daily living skills are also a necessary part of college success. Ideally, students will already know how to do the following tasks independently before starting college, if they're living in the dorm. However, some of these daily living skills can be worked on during their college experience as well. Personal hygiene, such as realizing when you need to shower, using deodorant, making appropriate clothing choices for the weather, brushing your teeth, and washing your hands, are all important aspects of self-care. We have found ourselves reminding students about these tasks from time to time. If needed, please help your student practice any areas of hygiene concerns this summer. Keeping their shared dorm room clean is another important daily living skill. This involves washing their dishes and their laundry, taking out the trash, and cleaning the bathroom, among other things. A number of roommate and suite-mate disagreements happen because of these specific tasks not getting done. Students will need to learn how to use an alarm, and if your student has a history of sleeping through their alarm, it would be a good idea to help them problem solve this issue prior to the start of fall semester. Perhaps they need an old-fashioned alarm clock with an electric cord. Knowing how to use a cell phone means more than simply texting friends. It includes making calls, listening to messages, erasing old messages, responding to messages either through text or by calling, and responding to texts when appropriate. Students will also need to know when it is appropriate and when it is not appropriate to use their phone, either for texting or calling. Typically, professors and employers look down on or penalize students who are on their phones during class or work. Students will need to develop comfort in using a washing machine and dryer. During their first semester, more experienced students, such as the fellows or returning STAP students, can help your student transfer their understanding of using their home washing machine and dryer to the ones that are offered and available to them in the residence hall. Some students also take medicine. Those students need to practice taking their medication without reminders from you, and need to know how to monitor for when they need to get their prescriptions refilled. If you think they're not completely ready to do this on their own, you will need to make arrangements with them to help them with medication management. Ideally, by their second year in STAP, students will be able to manage their medication without your support. There are many social aspects to college life. The social elements of the classroom include professors using metaphorical language, analogies, and humor, which might be confusing to some people, and students being expected to participate in class discussions, both small group and full class, as well as complete partner and small group assignments, or even do group presentations. An obvious social aspect to college is navigating their relationship with their roommate, as well as initiating and maintaining friendships, participating in residence hall activities, and in student life activities. There are many clubs, religious organizations, community service groups, and other opportunities for students to get involved in on campus. Some students choose to have romantic relationships while in STAP. Other students express interest in romantic relationships, but do not get involved in any, and still other students don't show interest or choose not to be involved in romantic relationships at all while here at Appalachian. One obvious and ongoing way that students have to use their social skills in college is when they self-advocate in order to get their needs and wants met. So let's talk a little bit more about relationships and about self-advocacy. Self-advocacy is one area that is very important when it comes to relationships and sexuality. It is normal and natural for students with intellectual and developmental disabilities to desire romantic or intimate relationships. After all humans are sexual beings. Students with IDD need accurate information about relationships, sexuality, and sexual health. They need lots of practice self-advocating regarding the types of touch and relationship dynamics that they are comfortable with. After all, we want a student to be able to say no when in an uncomfortable situation and to feel safe talking to their trusted people about that uncomfortable situation. Students with IDD also need safe people that they can talk with about their bodies, about intimate relationship dynamics, about sex, about protection options for safer sex, and about any other issues that may arise. We know from talking with our students that very few of them have received direct, clear sex education during middle school and high school. Research literature indicates that this is a common experience for students with intellectual and developmental disabilities. It would be wonderful for your student to be able to view you as one of their safe and trusted people from whom to get information on sexuality and whom to talk with about their relationships. This is especially important in our minds because we also know that individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities are more likely to be the victims of sexual abuse than other people. It is our goal in making sexuality education and sexual self-advocacy part of the curriculum that they will not find themselves in that kind of a situation. There are several resources on this page that I want to draw your attention to. Green Mountain Self-Advocates is a group of adults with IDD and other disabilities in Vermont who have committed to recognizing that adults with disabilities are still sexual beings and have rights around sexuality. They have worked in conjunction with Catherine McLaughlin to develop the Elevatus Sexuality Education Curriculum for people with developmental disabilities, which is the curriculum that we in SDAP use. Catherine McLaughlin has also put together a training called Talking with Your Kids, Developmental Disability and Sexuality. This training is targeted to parents primarily. You may access the training at this link, and we have provided you in a separate email the access email and password for that training. If you need that information again, just please contact us. Thank you for joining us in the process of helping your students grow in their understanding of sexuality, their own sexual health, and in having the information and the knowledge and confidence to be their own sexual self-advocate. We also want to ask you to complete and return 2 forms to us. These will help us better get to know your student and be able to support them as they transition from high school to college and into adulthood. Please complete and return the transition questionnaire for parents and the Getting to Know Me Strengths Challenges worksheet. Both of these have been emailed to you and are in the parent orientation folder. Before sending the Getting to Know Me worksheet, please discuss it with your student and see if they have other things to add. Students often appreciate seeing their strengths and challenges so clearly laid out For students who haven't really explored what their disability means to them, understanding the ways their disability influences both their strengths and their challenges can be a helpful first step in their journey of self-understanding related to their disability. So please, after you've completed these 2 forms and had a conversation with your students about the Getting to Know Me form, please email those forms to sstap@appstate.edu. And thank you so much for your time today. If you have any questions, feel free to email us.